Sire Denathrius. Probably the best thing to come out of Shadowlands. Not probably. He was the best thing to come out of Shadowlands, besides Slappy has me, but that's gone now. I digress. Sire Denathrius is coming back. At least that's what it looks like. We could see him returning at midnight. Sire Denathrius just outmastered everyone. Let's see what this video is all about from the teller of 1,000 truths, Doran.
Denathrius may just be pushing the most genius plan in all of WoW history. The old book confirmed they infiltrated all the realms and very recently live. Well, a haranir leader with green eyes was the main voice that we just learned that convinced the haranir to come out of hiding just now, and keep in mind they were hiding since the Titan occupation. Remember, beware the eyes of green. Now,
Right.
Lothraxion in the alpha is wreaking havoc in the new questline as a light fanatic, and we battle him, and while the questline is clear that he just went
Surprise, the fucking Dread... Who let this guy in to begin with? Who let the fucking Dreadlord into the Army of Delight, honestly? Who thought that was a freaking good idea? Literally, if anybody knows about the Dreadlord's capabilities of infiltrating every single aspect of everything, should be the Army of the Light. And then they're like, oh, but actually this guy's different than the rest of them. What the hell was wrong with them? Lothraxion was a freaking security breach, for sure. And he's going to do some kind of messed up shit. But the return of the Dreadlords and everything about them, I've been talking about this for a little while now. I actually think the Dreadlords are going to take a back seat in the whole Midnight expansion. They're just going to sit back and watch and see the two sides fight it out. And remember, Dreadlord's got people on every side of every fight, of every skirmish, on every planet. So they're just going to, I think, wait it out, see what happens. They might even wait it out past the last Titan and see what happens there. And then whatever their plan is will start to come to fruition. When all these big bads are gone and dealt with, who's the biggest bad left? Maybe the Dreadlords. Who knows? We'll see. But I guess there's evidence that Sire Denathrius might make an appearance at midnight. Let's see.
crazy with the light. Let's be real, I mean, obviously this would be a part of the plan. Obviously he's not just going to take his mask off as like a cartoon villain and says kind regards from Denathrius. Furthermore, we learned about the Titan and the Void Agents, so is this guy literally planning for something to happen in the near future when he plans to unleash his entire Dreadlord arsenal? I know it might sound crazy, but hear me out. You guys have all seen him over here right now on the channel, and they offer an amazing coaching service. I've personally found it super useful. When strapped for time, you get one-on-one sessions for PvP, PvE, or even arena PvP. You get matched with the top players and they can analyze your gameplay. They can help you set up your UI, add-ons, and help you master your class with super helpful tips and tricks. It can be awesome for PvE as well, and better yet, even if you play other games like Path of Exile.
This is like a masterclass taught by good gamers.
Or Battlefield 6, they can help you out there as well. Best of all, if you use my code DORAN, stand it you can see the screen, you will get 10% off immediately, so check out Overgear. So, I've been talking about this for years now, and don't get me wrong, I know Blizzard is all over the place. They don't really have like 10-year plans out, especially when they created the first Whispers, and especially from the Shadowlands, since that overall was a pretty big mess. However, the story of Denathrius was actually one of the rare good moments from this period, and one of the rare characters that was popular within the community, and overall, a pretty interesting storyline. I'm not gonna go crazy on the backstory, as I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with those Denathrius retcons from a few years back, but they were changed from being demons to actually being people from Revendreth. Remember those stone guys from Revendreth? Well, Denathrius,
instead of being demons, they simply, you know, the Dreadlords that we saw with the Burning Legion and all that, they just simply had infiltrated the Burning Legion, just like they infiltrated everything else. So that story, I feel like, wasn't that far-fetched, that they weren't actually demons, right? Because they're freaking everywhere. And they can literally change their appearance too, so that's another big one.
These are actually their cousins, and there was a bit of chaos back in the day, so while Denathrius was trying to work and infiltrate realms, he realized he needed these types of like subtle agents, but a lot of his plans backfired, so he had to get the Denathrius out of the Shadowlands, but he still kept in touch with them. The Denathrius so far have been his most successful project. Now, let me recontextualize this real quick with the new lore, because changes from just a few weeks back really changed everything we've known about the Shadowlands and this entire storyline. It was recently confirmed that the Shadowlands are indeed fake. It was previously implied that the Titans had a role to play in actually making this realm.
I mean, a lot of people thought this already. Surprise, surprise, the giant dildo in the sky that was filtering all the souls out into different realms to be harvested was not the true afterlife. Wow, shocker. I mean, I think a lot of us saw that coming. And the whole thing about the Shadowlands felt unnatural. A lot of the constructs in the Shadowlands lands felt unnatural. A lot of it did feel very Titan-esque, for sure, especially with the Kyrian and all that stuff. It just felt weird. And then you got the Maw, which is just like a soup of all the shit left over, and this whole Arbiter role that the Jailer, that Zoval once played that was replaced by a robot. All of it just felt very Titan-esque. So I don't think this is a big lore reveal. I'm just glad that it's finally canon now, that we can just all agree, like, the Shadowlands was a big fever dream, guys. That shit wasn't real.
Has told us that there is an actual afterlife beyond the Shadowlands. Shadowlands is
Wait, it was a dildo in the sky. Yeah, Ouroboros. Go back and look at Ouroboros. That's what it is.
like this prison.
I hated that
Furthermore,
city.
a recent cosmology book doubled down that we are stuck in this mechanism, like this cycle where life goes to death and vice versa, and it's all neatly balanced, as Sylvanas said, to ordered. Now, Zoval and Denathrius actually teamed up, but from what we've learned, Denathrius has been trying to get outside of this cycle since forever, literally thousands and thousands of years. It was implied that he had his Dreadlords infiltrate the Legion and do the entire Burning Legion thing. His Dreadlords also created the Scourge. They were responsible for the Lich King, and keep in mind just how successful this infiltration was. I mean, the Denathrius were like the main Burning Legion intelligence for like 25,000 years. Now, the book we found in Revendred confirmed to us that they are based in Revendred and are deaf beings, but they can absorb other magics. The report says they had trouble turning into demons and absorbing Fel, but they did manage to do it in the end. Denathrius tried to infiltrate Light back in the day, but that failed, and the Light decided to invade his realm. As you can see, it is still destroyed even to this day. However, the reports stated that finally, after a while, they managed to successfully infiltrate the Light realm. They had also infiltrated the Void, and while we were in the Shadowlands, they managed to get his...
Right, yeah, ability to infiltrate the Light. You got a Dreadlord freaking doing Light shit. I mean, yeah, they were eventually able to do it. And again, how he got in, I have no idea. How the Army of Light didn't suspect him of anything. Not only did he get in, he became like a general or something. What a freaking mistake.
Hands on a life agent, which was the hardest one because the Dreadlords are the exact opposite to life. Now, do not go crazy on the Scourge speculation because I think that is still relevant and Denathrius could take control over them later down the line and the other agents. I want to talk about the life and the light agent, as that is super relevant right now with the new questlines we just got from like a week or two back. So the light agent was pretty evident. I mean, who was Lothraxion, and lo and behold, he just became evil.
Oh, surprise. Surprise. Not really. That stupid Naru recruited him. Is that what it was? A Zero? Yeah, Zero was always wrong, man. Jesus. How many times she fuck up? She let a Dreadlord into the army, and then she thought she was going to be able to convert Illidan, and yeah, that didn't end very good. She turned into freaking glitter. So, yeah, Zira seems to be a failure of a Naru. Or at least she's so blinded by her own confidence that she didn't see that how many times she had messed up and been wrong.
They made a mistake with the light at first, it backfired into terrible destruction, so Denathrius had to be more intelligent this time. The book states that...
Didn't he go through trials to get his soul peaked? To get his true intentions, somehow masked it? Yeah, he went through a bunch of trials. He cut off his horns at one point. So, I mean, he did go through trials to infiltrate the light, but I mean, still, come on. This is literally what these people do. They will do anything and convince you of anything to join your cause. It just seems like they should have been a bit more suspicious. And clearly, it looks like now in Midnight, their lack of suspicion is going to backfire on them.
The light is very fanatical. Their agents need to be converted to the core. Like, he needs to fully prove himself as a light transformed being, like a complete fanatic, and they will trust him implicitly. The Naru will believe this agent. This is pretty much Lothraxion. As I said, we just fight him and he turns evil. We have a brand new questline from the Alpha where Lothraxion leads a group of very fanatical light beings, where he sees everyone as like a void thing, like everyone is working with the void. Now, this questline came as a bit of a shocker, and people were saying, yeah, he really did get driven crazy by the light, that he was not in fact an agent of Denathrius, because he doesn't mention the Shadowlands or Denathrius. But I think people are just not really reading between the lines. I mean, Lothraxion does go like crazy fanatical light side. He talks about how even the light people are corrupted by the void, they don't see the real truth, the light is the only way, like everyone is working against the light. He tells us how...
Oh, so surprise again, the Dreadlord who's on the light side is working and manipulating the worst part of the light, and that is the fanatical side of it. When you get too deep into it and you start to believe that everybody else is your enemy. That's what he was preaching, and they still didn't realize that he might be fucking around with the Army of the Light just a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah.
Much the light has changed him, talks about how just because he was once a Dreadlord doesn't mean he can't now be a full light being.
Yes,
then
it does.
we have an elaborate fight and he's defeated, which for the Denathrius literally means
spoiler,
nothing. I mean,
Jesus,
keep in mind, this is the guy that told us that he died 100 times already in the past. Also, he is literally a death being, so can he even really die?
Yeah, I don't think Dreadlords can actually be killed anyways. They can... and now I take that back. Maybe the Dreadlords that we killed in Shadowlands actually died. I'm not sure if they could return to wherever they do. Do Dreadlords go back to the Nether? I forget where they go to, but their souls ascend and they can reform. That's why we've seen not Kel'Thuzad. That's why we've killed so many of the same Dreadlords over and over.
Now, for some reason, people thought this questline was like a
Kel'Thuzad
confirmation
was not a
that he was
Dreadlord,
not
that's a
in fact
misspeak.
an agent, and he really was a genuine convert of the light that just went insane over time. Guys, of course, he's not going to do like a Scooby-Doo mask reveal and say it was me, Denathrius, all along, I finally got you, and then we defeat him in like a single boss fight. Who really knows what he is planning? Maybe the idea was that he wanted to prove himself as like a hardcore light fanatic, so that the Naru
we did save him.
guys are going to have no doubt that he's truly dedicated to the cause, and then he plans to do whatever. Also, as I said, the Dreadlord's Natrazim and dying doesn't really work. We've seen that time and time again. I honestly think this is a setup for him to get even deeper down the fanatical light hierarchy so that he can be the most useful at a critical time when Denathrius actually returns. Keep in mind, based on the new lore, what is currently going on Azeroth, it is really the most critical moment in the history of the universe. Like, this is the culmination. Like,
And obviously, their soul or whatever their essence is can be transferred or kept alive. Like Sire Denathrius, we destroyed his body. His body was destroyed, but then his soul or whatever his essence is made of went into Remornia and is kept in the sword now. So you can do that with Dreadlords. If they don't get stored in a weapon or whatever, then maybe they go somewhere else. Again, the lore was that they used to be demons, so we thought their souls went to the Twisting Nether, and now we realize they're not demons. So where they go, where they're from, it's still mysterious. Which is why Dreadlords are so damn cool too. Is they're one of the few things in WoW that's still mysterious, right? We've kind of revealed a lot about the Titans, a lot about the Void Lords now and everything. Like, we're revealing a lot of lore that was once mysterious, but the Dreadlords remain a mystery. We don't know what they're doing, what they're up to, what their final endgame is, or where they're even from. It's one of the things that makes them cool.
Hundreds of thousands of years, everyone is going to be affected with what happens next. And do you really think Denathrius that planned all these things for so long is just going to sit idle and do nothing? However, let's talk about another agent that I think is even more interesting, and it might be less obvious, but it is also a speculation that has been going on for a few years. So, the Revendred document stated that life beings are the worst opponents as they're the opposite to the Dreadlords. However, they looked at Ardenweald and the World Tree connection and they found a target. The operative is already working on it. Now, check this out. Brand new lore, and I also have a full video on this crazy new lore that you can check out, but I'll sum it up super quick. Harandar, the new zone in Midnight, was actually called the Cradle back in the day. That is where the goddess Anhara used to live. Anhara is the name the Haranir have for their goddess, which is literally Azeroth's world soul. When the Titans conquered Azeroth,
I wasn't that excited for this
Anhara,
zone.
aka
I wasn't that excited for this zone, but it's kind of grown on me. It does kind of look cool. This specifically, I mean, they got to make this a $90 mount, right? Make the Mushroom Boy a $90 mount, and we'll be ready to go. But overall, it's starting to look cooler. And yes, there is a lot of lore tied to this zone. I keep saying this zone was meant to be a War Within zone, and instead they tied in Ethereals and Void Lords at the end, and then shoehorned this into the next expansion to kind of tie the two together. But yeah, we'll see how much fun this zone is. Also, the music's going to matter, right? We got to see what the music's like.
Soul. When the Titans conquered Azeroth, they ripped out Anhara, aka they ripped out Azeroth's world soul from this place, put her in a prison, and they took her out from the cradle. Now, the Haranir are actually the original creation of Azeroth, one of the earliest races on the planet. They used to live all over the planet, and they were her most loyal race. When Azeroth was ripped out from this place, the Rift of Aln, so Anhara, the Rift of Aln was created in Haranir. Haranir,
boy with
which,
a mushroom
as it was
tip,
stated,
yeah.
a cycle of violence was made that could never be extinguished. Now, here's the thing. The Haranir, aka the ancestors to the trolls and the elves, had to hide underground because the Titans wanted to order them, and they were successful in this hiding. They developed druidic forms to hide. They went...
By the way, the haranir, the ancestor to the trolls and the night elves, I still feel like that lore is broken. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, that was revealed. I think it was Ian who said it in an interview. And it's just very confusing to me because I feel like the trolls were still supposed to come first, then it's the haranir, then the night elves. They're like the link between the two. They changed that and said, no, the haranir are the original race. And then you had a divergence from there into trolls or into night elves based on where they were, you know, magic and all that other shit going on around them. I just feel like that's an attempt to make the haranir more important. I mean, that's what that feels like, a lore retcon a little bit, to say, oh, actually, you didn't like the haranir? Well, too bad. They're more important than the trolls that you like because they came first. All right, Blizzard. Sometimes they do that. It was like the Lich King tie-ins with the Shadowlands. Like, they're just trying to shoehorn important lore into this new lore to make it more important.
Deep, like crazy deep underground. Now, in addition to this, it was confirmed that the world trees are actually much more than simple trees. So much more.
Surprise.
All of them are connected by roots in Harandar, where the cradle of Azeroth was, so all the world trees are tied to the world soul. The Haranir were the protectors of those roots, and while all the crazy things happened on Azeroth, from the Sundering to everything, they hid deep below where no one ever saw them. Well, check this out. So, the destruction of Dreadlord, as we learned from the new questline, was much more than the single destruction of a tree and the Night Elven capital. This actually created a huge problem for the World Soul. She started giving out Radiant Song. This got the Haranir to start thinking about getting out of hiding. Check this out. It was actually the Jailer and Denathrius that orchestrated this destruction of Teldrassil, which created the entire Shadowlands ordeal. But this is not actually the point, the speculation I'm trying to get across. The point I'm trying to get across is that Orvenia, one of the Haranir leaders, was a very strong advocate, as we just learned from a questline, of convincing the Haranir to finally come out of hiding. Keep in mind,
I don't like the haranir, but Orwena gives me feelings when I see that cinematic. I don't know what's going on. Something I need to look internally and try to figure out what's happening there. But that cinematic, yeah, I didn't like the cinematic, but there's some things happening here with Orwena that I need to explore.
keep in mind, this is a really big deal because these guys have been protecting these sacred roots, obviously tied to the world soul, carrying out a very important mission, like the most vulnerable part of Azeroth, and they have
this is Avatar in game. This is
arrival of the Titans.
This is that whole thing reminds me of.
Most of Azeroth's history. Them coming out of the ground is a really big deal. So check this out. Orvenia, very interestingly, has green eyes. Now let's go back to that old whisper that we've tied to so many things. The vassal of life disguises treachery. Beware the eyes of green. Now, if Orvenia is something, she is a vassal of life. I mean, the entire Anhara, Haranir, Harandar new lore implies that Azeroth is definitely life root-based, and the Haranir are literally the most loyal followers of their goddess Anhara. Now, beware the eyes of green. Keep in mind, this moment of her convincing these guys to come out of hiding happened right when Teldrassil was destroyed, or a bit after, pretty much just around the time of the Shadowlands, when we learned that the Dreadlords had gotten to their target. Also, remember, the Denathrius implied that they managed to infiltrate to Ardenweald, which is in a weird way connected to Azeroth's world trees. And
there's like an anchor between the world trees, between the afterlife and our life. Yes, this is true. It's part of what led Farak, or Frakak as I like to call him, off on his little tangent where he decided to destroy a world tree. Right? So all that stuff, yes, is connected. There's a lot of connection with roots and shit in the world. If you didn't know, the Haranir, their class or their racial ability is the ability to route travel to different world trees. So they're going to have kind of, I guess you could describe it as like the Dark Iron Dwarves Mole Machine racial ability, where they'll have specific spots that they can travel to in the world. So this root connection and everything else is very important, and severing the root connection between the afterlife and the current life, or I should say the life of the living, probably has consequences. And that's what Farak was trying to do.
Loon and everything, so it's all root connected. Now, I'm not saying for certain Orvenia is 100% a Dreadlord, but come on, like, let's come out of hiding after all this time right now, when all hell is breaking loose and when Lothraxion, the Light Agent, is causing trouble at the same time, just on a different front. Here's the thing, if we really want Blizzard to write like a genius, like actual storyline,
Farrak was also trying to gain infinite power from the tree, so there you go.
This is really the way it would have
Or
to
take
be.
away the
If
power.
Lothraxion was just about to like
From the
remove
dragons.
his hood and tell us I've been an agent all along, like that would be so lame. Also, if Rovenia just suddenly just got like Dreadlord wings, it would also be lame. However, he might have been doing some sort of a very intricate long con. He plans to activate all the sleeper agents in like the perfect moment. It was implied that he also has a void agent as well. He can also really take over the Scourge. Furthermore, they also said that the Titans were the easiest to infiltrate, so there might be an agent there that we...
There was even rumors that he could become the next leader of the Burning Legion, right? Like they're kind of leaders now with Sargeras imprisoned and everything. So people said, "Oh, he's going to pick up where Sargeras left off. He's going to pick up the Burning Legion and use it for his own cause." We'll see.
know about yet.
Same with the
depending on
Scourge.
how the story unravels, I'm guessing if Denathrius was to return, he would really wait for the most perfect possible timing when everyone is fighting each other, and then he just steps in. Thanks for watching. Check out the Forsaken Land revamp has been confirmed and what will be coming soon by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on Titan lore and Greek mythology that I've recorded live on site in Italy by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Nice video. Yeah. So I mean, Sire Denathrius' return in Midnight still questionable, but are the Dreadlords still playing a big role in Midnight? Yeah, I would say obviously so. Lothraxion doing some crazy shit. The Dreadlords will continue to play their roles in the background or in the foreground. We'll see how much attention they get. But overall, you know that they're still there, scheming. Whether or not they show up or not, they're scheming. They're doing something, and Sire Denathrius' plan is still being set into motion. We'll see when they actually make an appearance, whether or not it's this expansion, The Last Titan, or post Last Titan. A nice video from Doran.